Hi everyone, Jacqueline here. Well, it's that time of year where we're kind of heading between the two seasons of fall, moving into winter. And so we are inside today. I just wanted to show you my collection of little pumpkins. And I'm going to share with you some of the various activities I've done in the garden and some of the items I've collected. And I'm going to go over what I'm going to do with them and how I'm going to store them. So I didn't save many seeds this year, but I did save some for my friends. So some of the ones that I decided to save is I saved a few of my red zinnias here. And what I'm doing with them this year is I'm just laying them out here on a paper towel. This is in my kitchen so they can really dry nicely. And instead of bagging them like this, which is what I did last year, I'm actually going to let them dry an extra week. And then I'm just going to gather the seeds off them, put them in envelopes, put names on them for who I'm giving them to, and then that's all done for the season. I'm not going to revisit these other than to hand the packets of the seeds out to friends and family. So I didn't collect many seeds. Like I didn't collect cosmos or anything like that this year, just a few zinnias. I decided I would start new again this year with some new plants and new fresh seed. I think every once in a while you need to do that rather than just keep using the seeds you've collected. Just my opinion. Plus I get to try maybe some new varieties that are out for 2025. So that's kind of my plan with those. Next here I have coneflowers. These are some of the magenta coneflowers that I collected. These were new to my garden this year. And, you know, they settled in really well in my back garden into my curves and they were beautiful. So the ones that were left that I hadn't cut back already, I saved some of the flower heads right here. And I'm going to collect these seeds as well. I'm going to save some for other areas of my garden. I'm also going to give a bunch away to family and friends too and treat them like the zinnias where I collect the seed, envelope it up, and then put names on them for family and friends as well. They seem to really enjoy that, and now they're looking for seeds from me every single year. Last year I didn't do too many that, I didn't collect that many that I gave away. So I kind of felt guilty about that when they loved them so much. So I'm going to do it again this year, but I'm going to plan ahead for these. Next thing I want to share with you is right over here. Now I mentioned I was going to take some cuttings of my Tradescantia, the Zebrina, and here it is. After my window boxes finally took the hit of frost, I didn't think I was going to get any cuttings, but these were buried underneath a lot of other foliage and protected. So I grabbed a few cuttings off of these, and I tell you guys, these will root in 1 week. They root so fast. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to pot these up, and I have a few here that are ready to go. In fact, I have 3. That's all I was able to get. I should have had more. If I would have took my cuttings earlier, then I could have had more plants. But I'm going to pot these up eventually here, and I got to get some potting soil. And then I'm going to take cuttings off of these and make a whole bunch of plants for window boxes and containers. This plant did much better as a trailing plant in window boxes than the potato vine. The potato vine was attacked by bugs, bad. This plant wasn't attacked by anything. It didn't have aphids on it. It wasn't eaten or chewed up by anything. It was the perfect trailing plant for window boxes and containers. And because in the sun the foliage gets more purple and more striped, it was really beautiful. It covers off vines in the purple family and in the various green and silver family. So it does everything. So it's a nice plant to use in window boxes. And because it's a house plant, you can keep it all year round in the house and make more plants out of it for your window boxes. But my biggest feature about this was the fact that it was not bothered by any bugs in the garden. So that's a keeper, and I'll keep reusing it. Next on my list is my cannas. I only had 1 canna plant, and I put that in my container on my front steps. And it was supposed to be kind of an orangey red. It ended up being more of a red. But it worked because my planters were so bold in the color choices that I made for the season. So I've saved those cannas. I've dug them out and I've cut them all off and I'm letting them dry in my kitchen. What I'm going to do with these, and they aren't very big, which is fine, easier to package, is I'm going to put these in brown paper bags and I'm going to add wood shavings to them and put them in the crisper of my fridge in the basement and store them there and just check on them once in a while and spritz them with a bit of water to keep them from drying out. So right now they are curing on my countertop here, and I would figure in another week they're going to be ready to go to be bagged up. So this is an easy way to keep cannas. I am not one person to bring in all my pots and the dirt and everything to store my plants, because the dirt houses a lot of bugs and disease potentially, and I don't want to bring that in. Plus they're heavy and I just don't want to haul that around. They take up a lot of valuable space. So I think this is the easiest way to store them. You can pull them out, you can inspect them, make sure they're good and healthy, that there's no disease or insects, and then not use a lot of space to store them. I do not have a cold space in my basement. My basement is warm and it's too cold to put them in my sheds or anything outside. They will freeze. So the fridge is the best option for me. So that's where I will be storing everything. Thank goodness I don't have a lot of food or anything in that fridge. So I have ample space at this time of year. As it gets closer to Christmas and stuff, that fridge will get more use, especially if we have family and stuff. I'll be putting a lot of food in there. But at this point, it's perfect for these. So they do have a place to go. Here are my dahlias. I have cut them and brought them in. You know, I got some really nice flowers out of them this year, and I was fairly decently happy with them. The two I wanted to save the most were Cafe au Lait and Labyrinth, with Labyrinth being my favorite. Cafe au Lait for me was pretty pale, it didn't have a lot of pink in it, and it wasn't a showstopper in the garden, but I kept it anyhow, and we'll see what it does next year. So I'm going to pull these out of the container and put them up on the counter. I have set up an area here on my countertop with cardboard for them to dry. So I'm going to put them here and I'll show you what they look like. So you can see they're monsters, and dahlias are always monsters when you dig them out. They are still curing and drying. So when I let them dry, I don't cut anything off of the plant until I see how it is when it's dried. But you can see here, like this tuber here is toast, it's damaged. And I usually cut all the stringy roots off of them, and any of the stems here that are not in the greatest of shape, just to compact them down for storing. And we do have some really nice tubers over here, and we do have some eyes on the plant here, so it's well worth saving. So I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to let them cure on the countertop really good. I'm going to cut all these stems off and anything damaged and go through it really well, anything that's loose or potentially busted. And then I'm going to store them in the wood shavings and put them away in my fridge and store them for the winter. And we can see here, this one's not too bad. I don't see any signs of Dahlia gull on them, so that's a really good thing. And I'll show you how I labeled these, because the only ones I labeled were the Cafe au Laits. So I'll find those here, but I'm going to bring these up on the counter so you can see them all and go through them. When these were dug up, one of them did get busted, but this isn't it, of course. But some of them here are bigger and some are smaller, depending on the type of dahlia and that. Like I said, I had a lot of mixed dahlias in there, so I don't have the names for them because I do buy them in packages. I don't order any dahlias online. It's just not worth it for me to spend that kind of money on dahlias when I can get a whole bunch in a package and then keep what I want and try them. So anyhow, that's my song and dance for dahlias when it comes to purchasing them. But you can see here, they look really good. They're nice and healthy, and like I said, they're still moist. The dirt's still kind of wet because we were watering everything in before we shut the sprinklers off. So they got a bit of a soaking even though they were finished. So they need to dry really, really well. This is Labyrinth. I labeled it LAB for Labyrinth. You can see here I had one bust off when I took it out of the ground, which is kind of sad, but it's really healthy looking, and I think it's going to be a good season for it next year if I can get it through the winter and it stores nicely. So I'll clean this up again, take all these off, go through it once all the dirt and everything falls off, and then prepare them for storage. And I'll take you on that journey when I store them. But they really need to cure for quite a while here. So I'm just going to put them all on the counter here. And you can see here we have another one. It was already sending out new shoots. Look at that. All new shoots all over it. So, and they're still green. And we have lots of eyes on this one. These are nice and thick and solid, the tubers. So this is a keeper as well. There is some damage on this one right here. I'm going to leave it and see what it does. I might have to remove it. Yeah, you can see it's totally split, that one right in there. So that's the kind of thing I like to wait to remove and just go through them really thoroughly before I package them up. Here's another one, and this is Labyrinth as well. So far I'm only pulling out Labyrinth out of the container, but I do have Cafe au lait in there marked off. And another one that looks really good. I don't see a lot of damage on this one, so it should be a lot faster to clean up. Here's another unknown. Oh wait, that's a lie. This is Cafe au lait. You can see the tuber's not as big as Labyrinth, but it looks okay. We've got some good eyes on it there, and in there, and right there. So by leaving it in the ground after the frost for a couple extra weeks, the eyes are more protruding. So that makes it easier for us to divide these and make more plants out of it for spring planting. So there's a tip for you. When your dahlias take the first frost or a couple frosts, leave them in the ground for a couple weeks so these eyes start protruding more, and you will find it much easier to determine how to cut your dahlias to make more tubers out of them because of that. That's gross. Ugh, look at that slug. So that's why you want to let them dry out really well, because sometimes they have friends attached to them. Here is another big Cafe au lait. I was looking at this thinking this was gull when you see this growth happening. If you get some cauliflower growth on it, then this one is probably toast. That'll be a bummer to lose that one. Let me know in the comments what you think. Here's a really good close-up look, you guys, so you can see it. And you can tell me what you think. And finally, I have this one little one here left. And it looks pretty solid. I don't see too much damage to it. Sometimes they get damaged when you dig them out. But it had some new shoots coming off of it right there. And the eyes are not quite as pronounced, but I see some right in there. So all in all, my dahlia harvest was pretty good, and there'll be a lot here that I can reuse for the following season once I get them all packaged. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this video, some of the things I've been doing. I have a lot of ideas for next year, and I think my goal for next year is going to be, you know, garden cheats. I'll do a video on that. The garden cheats I want to use for planting the garden in the spring. And those items I think that will reduce the workload, maybe save some of the costs and give more variety in the garden. I'll be working on that one to share with you. So that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. These are some of the tasks going on when it's really cold here. Our nights are dropping down to -7 Celsius. Our days are about +5 Celsius, +7. The weekend is supposed to be warmer, so maybe we'll get out in the garden again, and I can share some more fall chores, tasks with you, and some of the garden work I'm doing. I haven't got everything done out there before we actually get some snow. We did have snow flurries this week, so that wasn't very cool, but it didn't stay around because it's too warm. So thank you everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. The things you find on dahlias when you bring them in.